They said they wanted power.
Oh, awesome.
Zaba Zakalush
Kalamatskalaw.
Welcome to Guru Talks.
Guru? What do they do, like levitate and chill on mountaintops?
Not exactly, but you are in the right place to find out everything you need to know, and it's actually quite simple. I am your host, Florian Boschi, and I will be going extra deep with Guru Bhaneswaranand each and every show. We are covering deep truths about relationships, success in business, world peace, and many other topics. Oh, and of course, enlightenment. Because our Guru, well, he is enlightened. Today is the third episode of Guru Talks. Today we'll talk about sexual relationships, children, divorce, and love. Guru Bhaneswaranand, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Guru Bhaneswaranand, you wrote a book about a year ago, The Art of Loving, where you're describing everything about different relationships in life, how people live together, how they relate to each other. Not just romantic relationships, but also relationships with our parents, with our siblings, with friends. Even though we're focusing today on romantic relationships, can you explain to us, or can you share with us what prompted you to write the book in the first place?
A disciple of mine invited me to Europe, and when I visited Europe, everything was very fine. It was a very nice, decent society with lot of material happiness, good machineries, good roads, everything was fine. But still, when we went to a small town, people were not looking happy, and sadness was very much visible on their face. It was very strange for me to notice this and try to find the cause why it is so, because they have everything, they have money, their government supports them nicely, uh, everything is available, whatever they want they can do, freedom is there. So when I went very deep into it, along with the disciple of mine, we found that there is a problem of relationship. Relationships are broken. They don't trust each other. It's, and it is not only with the romantic relationships. Almost all types of relationships were in strain, and the, that was causing them stress and sadness. And that was the point when I, along with my disciple, decided to write a book, and he named it Art of Loving, in which we have addressed almost all type of relationships a human can have with other human. And this is how it all started.
Okay, who was your disciple?
It was you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, thanks. Yeah, that was very interesting. I remember that when we were in Bahnhofstraße and we were looking at people, and I asked you this one, and you were like, oh, sad, and this one, and you were like, oh, also sad, and it was literally one out of maybe 10 people who wasn't sad when you felt into them. It was
Yes, and I mean, it was very visible. It could have been very visible to you too, and therefore you became part of writing the book. But I mean, it was visible to everybody, and everybody knows that they are sad, and they are sad because of the relationship.
yes. The book The Art of Loving is about to be published for the first time in English as an ebook, as a Kindle version. So we're looking forward to that. Should be coming out, I guess, in the next month. Maybe a little bit longer, but it's about a month. And one of the main topics in the book is that you're distinguishing among four different types of relationships. Without getting into it too much, can you share with us just the basics of those four types of relationships, how they relate to each other, and what that means?
Yes, I can do that. See, we have described these four types of relationships as one is the spiritual relationship, second is sexual relationship, third is a blood relationship, and fourth is friendship. And these relationships are a step ahead. Friendship is the lowest. Blood relationships are on top of friendships. Sexual relationships are on top of blood relationship and friendship. And spiritual relationship is on top of all the three relationships. This is how it goes.
But you mean on top of each other? What do you mean?
See, friendship is the kind of relationship we always say that we bank on, and there is nothing better than friendship in the world. We all discuss this, but when it comes to reality, we all experience that it's not true. I give you an example which I think I have already given in the book. That two friends were studying somewhere, say in Vienna. They were very close friends. They were meeting every day. They used to love each other, and everything was very fine. And then a family of one friend decided to move to Berlin. They became very sad. They said, "We cannot live without you. It will be very difficult here without you." And they cried for some time. But the second day, one friend has left to Berlin, another was left in Vienna, and slowly it took 5 months, 6 months, and 7 months. Then he found another friend in Berlin, he found another friend in Vienna, and they started their normal life again. Whenever, yeah. So therefore, I say whenever the testing times comes between blood relationship and friendship, you dump the friendship for your blood relatives.
Yeah, I see. If there's a choice to be made, you're saying that blood relationships will win over friendships. Friendships are not as important to people as our blood relationships.
Yes, time and again, many times it has happened that you have dumped a friend for your brother. It has probably never happened in the other direction.
I mean, there are always exceptions, I would assume, right?
Yeah, exceptions are everywhere, but even when, honestly, when I have gone into those exceptions also, um, this rule of the nature, the law of nature exists there also. But yes, we can say that exceptions are everywhere.
It's interesting. Sorry. It's interesting because people really, like you said before, people really put such strong emphasis on their friendships. In their mind, it is really, really important to them. And many people, I've heard many people say before that my friendships are the most important thing in my life. So, and then when it comes when people are put in front of making a tough decision, they usually choose otherwise. It seems like there is some disconnect there, or some kind of illusion that people are part of. Do you know why?
You see, the bond does not exist. We are naturally inclined to anybody who is very close and near to us. Like, for example, I tell you, when I was traveling in uh, flight, my fellow passenger was very nice and he took care of me very nicely. We became very close. We exchanged each other's address, phone number, and everything as if we will always meet each other. But after the flight has landed, we said bye bye to each other. And believe me, after that, neither he has ever spoken to me, nor I have ever spoken to him.
Sure, but you know, one could argue that this is an acquaintance, not a friendship. There are friends that, you know, I have friends that I had for 20 years, and that's definitely a different story than meeting somebody in a plane. I mean, I do call my friends maybe every week or maybe every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but I'm consistently in touch with them. So a real friendship is a little bit of a different relationship, I would think, than just an acquaintance that you meet once in an airplane. Or wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree. And friendship is very nice relationship. I'm not saying it is not, but you like for example, you are saying that I am very close to my friends and this and that. That's very nice of you, and it's really highly appreciated. But you have not passed the test. So when the testing times comes to choose between your mother and your friend, your father and your friend, things are different. And similarly, you see, maybe we can say that yes, we always choose our family. But when we meet a girl, when we meet our partner, or when we try to meet our partner, and a sexual relationship gets developed, that time, because sexual relationship are a step ahead of blood relationship. When you fall in love, you do not hear your parents, you do not hear your brother, you do not hear your sister, you always hear your spouse.
So if the testing time comes, you will leave your family for your lover.
Several times it has happened in the world, and several times it will happen in the world. And uh, I mean, there are one or two cases where people say that I have left my spouse for my mother. But when you go very deep into it, he was not getting along with his spouse. Reasons are different. So this law of nature, law of friendship holds true everywhere, other than maybe one or two cases, which may be like mercury in the metal, but otherwise it holds true everywhere. Another thing, when spiritual relation occurs and a person meets a guru, he can leave whole family, including his spouse, and probably go to him.
That might be surprising for some people to hear because I mean, many never have a relationship with a guru. So
Yeah,
you're saying that a relationship with a guru is higher than all the other relationships together, yet it is one of the rather rare things. So many people are missing out.
yeah, highest is always rare. So, yes, I mean, I don't know whether they are missing out or not, but if they fall in a relationship with uh, natural guru, a natural deity, God, anywhere where we can define this as a spiritual relationship, all other relationships of the world does not matter to him other than this.
One of the things that surprised me the most, I think, from the book was that you were explaining the difference between love that we feel when we have romantic love and the kind of love that you would, I think, call a spiritual or a complete love. And so, does this have something to do with that? That in a romantic relationship, you have a kind of like a love that is bedded into a dual framework or a dualistic framework, whereas the love to a guru, it's giving you a taste of a permanent love that never changes, that has no conditions. Is that, would you think, a reason?
Yes, you can say so. Look, I tell you, the basic difference between romantic love and spiritual love is that the moment you meet a partner in in romantic love, you want to bind. You want always to bind your partner. The statement also you make, and the other partner like, you are mine, you know. No one ever says that I'm yours. You see, so you say you are mine. You want to bind somebody to be yours. And anything what binds is definitely lower in order compared to what frees.
That makes sense.
Spiritual love, yeah, somebody asked me, what is the difference between my love and your love? I saw he was having a parrot. I said, I think you love parrot. He said, oh, very much. You know what I did? I put some gold in the house of the parrot so that it can live, and food is always there, water is always there. Then I said, okay, that's a real love for you. He said, yes. And Guru, what would be the love for you? I said, the same parrot, please give me. I will love it and will show you what the love is. And he took it out from the case and handed it over to me. I went to the balcony and made it fly. It went in the sky. I saw it. It was flying. And wow, what a nice feeling I got. And that is a spiritual love.
That must have been very upsetting for the other person who was trying to bind the parrot.
No, it came back. It came back to me later on, and he always he had it. But yes, it could have been disturbing for him if it could have flown away. You are right, because he want to satisfy his ego in his love. That yes, I am taking care of parrot. I am giving him food. I am giving him water. I am giving him what he needs. I have bought him some gold and whatnot.
There was actually a post that we put up with Guru Dam a couple of days ago, and several people were commenting that this was regarding wisdom, and the way we defined wisdom is basically to gain the ability to love freely. I think that was one of the criteria, is to be able to love in a way that we can let others free and
Yeah.
prosper and grow and be who they want to be, and our love is not contingent on their behavior. Now, what I noticed from some of the comments is that many people do feel like they intellectually understand this, and you can feel and tell how they want that. They would really like that because they understand that this is a lot of cause for challenges, issues, and problems in their life and for pain. But it seems like that on an emotional level, they feel caged themselves. They don't feel like they have the emotional freedom to practice that kind of love. It's like their desires and wants, their fear maybe of being alone or of losing someone or of not being loved back has such a stronghold on them that they don't feel that they have the capacity to put what you're teaching here into full practice. Can you comment on that?
I agree with you. It is difficult, definitely, but not impossible.
Well, I mean, what do you recommend for those people? They want to love freely and feel like they can't.
The recommendation for them is very clear. Get out of your fear. You cannot love in a state of fear. And the moment your fear is out from you, your love will automatically become free. Why you want to hold your partner? Why don't you allow him or her to go and accept him or her when they come back? And if they don't come back, they were never yours. Why become sad for them? So the moment you be away from the fear, I think your love from romantic love changes automatically to spiritual love, and you will not like to bind, you will like to free. And you see, another thing in romantic love is that I or what we can do, we never try to do. What we cannot do, we expect things from other persons to do. I will change my partner. I will do this so that he gets changed or she gets changed. I have never heard any person saying that I will change myself to suit my partner. Whereas the real thing should be that yes, what you need, I will try to change myself to suit you. But that doesn't happen because we are always in fear. So we do not even tell our truth self. We do not tell about ourselves to our partner. We try to tell the good part of our life and try to hide bad part of life because there is an element of fear that if my partner comes to know about myself as I am, he or she may abandon me. But it doesn't help, my friends. It's always better to be truthful, to not expect others to change, accept the situation and the person as he is or she is. And if you cannot do that, I think it's better leave it, try somebody else, because if you try to bind, it always has got the adverse effect, and that is why romantic love starts feeling problems after some time.
I need to cut you off for a moment. Now I have several questions for you. The first one I think would be, and that's the $1 million question. I think. I mean, when we say, well, I would like to love freely, but I can't, and then you say, well, that's because of fear. You need to get rid of your fear. Then what will come back immediately is, well, how do I get rid of my fear? I mean, how do you deal with getting rid of fear? That's not something that even though there is probably thousands of different modalities of psychotherapies, and there is thousands of different self-help strategies and so on and so on, but in my experience, none of these people has ever really sufficiently, or maybe there are some, I wouldn't know, but it seems like a very rare thing that somebody is really able to get rid of their fear. It's more, usually what I see more is people or modalities forming strategies around helping people to modulate their fear, to manage their fear, rather like that.
Look, at a very common level, I will say that stop expecting. Your fear will start going down automatically. In
But
spirituality, yeah,
aren't you expecting things because of your fear?
they are interrelated. Because of fear, you expect, because of expectation, your fear becomes more. They are interrelated. So you can, I mean, I said you at a very common level, at a very, this thing, that you stop expecting. But there are other methods, even in the spiritual things, in spirituality. There is a system by which fear can be eliminated. Maybe all those who want to go at a higher level of elimination of fear can try those spiritual things in the guidance of a guru, and all those who has got a very normal kind of life, stop expecting. I think your fear will automatically come to lower level. It will not get eliminated, but it will definitely come to a lower level.
Yeah, it's another strategy of modulating or managing your fear, basically by understanding something a little bit differently, I guess, or by having a different framework in how we approach it. Yes.
Yes, you have to manage it. Otherwise, if you really want to eliminate it, there is a process. I think many of the spiritual people go through, and then the element of fear goes away from you, and you start loving people freely. You start loving them without expectations. You don't want others to change. You don't want anything from the others. Your expectation becomes zero, and you are totally fearless.
Very good. So just to clarify this one last time, love, spiritual love versus romantic love. You told me at some point, and I was wondering if you can elaborate on that. That the romantic love is tied to the world of our feelings and emotions. So it kind of like grows out of a feeling, whereas you told me before that spiritual love actually is born out of the absence of any feeling. So it is not a feeling, rather, it is a state of being, a state of stillness, where a certain, I guess, love frequency just radiates off you rather
Yeah.
than you actually feeling or doing something on the inside.
Yes, I think what I told you exactly was, when you enter into spiritual love, you do not love, you become love. You be continuously in a state of love. An object is not needed for your love. Whoever probably comes in your area gets affected by that and maybe starts loving you, but you really do not need an object for it. You do not need a partner. You do not need a, you see, you become love.
You
And
don't need a subject either.
yeah, you don't
Yes.
need a subject either. You become love and you are in this state of love. Now, coming back to romantic things, you see, um, it the romantic love develops because of certain needs, maybe needs of sex, needs of belonging to somebody, and our need of making somebody yours. Okay, so anywhere where need arises, the moment need is fulfilled, problem starts. Therefore, you must have seen that most of the romantic love, though there are societies, there are people in which love has lost for lifetime, but usually what happens, the quantum of love, the moment needs gets fulfilled, it starts reducing, and then there are problems. Another problem with the romantic love is that when you meet your partner, you want always to show him or her the finest side of yours, and so does your partner. Now you really see also the finest side of her. Man, the human being is never perfect. I have got some good qualities and some bad qualities. Some people come to me and they say, "Oh, I have come to a very good person," and I tell them, "No, you have come to a good and a bad person. If you have come in search of a good person, I will disappoint you. But yes, if you have come in search of a person with wisdom. If you have come in search of a guru, whatever you want to learn, I will be able to teach you. But if you have really come only in search of a good person, probably your search does not stop here. And I do not fit in that bracket. Please forward with your journey, and I wish you all the best to find one. And you see, good and bad exist together like accelerator and brake in a car. Now idea is not to find a right good partner. Idea is to find a partner and accept him as he or she is. Your life will become happier, it will become nicer, he or she will start liking you, and you will like him or her.
So you're basically saying you don't have to fall in love. You could be with anybody and just accept them. That's it.
That is what is happening. I think we say that we fall in love, but with whom you fall in love?
With an idea maybe of who the other person. Tell me.
No, a person who is very near to you. You go to college, you fall in love with a classmate. You do not, if I want to fall in love, I would like to fall in love with somebody in Venus, or maybe somebody sitting 2000 kilometers away from me. You see, whoever is close to you, whoever is accessible to you fall in love with them always.
But the whole thing of falling in love becomes very questionable from what you're saying, because basically what happens, so you fall in love, you start feeling a strong need that is suddenly at the brink of getting fulfilled. With that comes the illusion where you only see the good things in the other person. You don't see the traits yet that might be disturbing to you or that might be not so nice to you. You only see what you want to see that relates to that strong feeling that you have inside of you. It's probably the creme de la creme of illusion.
It is.
I mean, I know this sounds terrible because our whole society runs on falling in love.
Yeah, it is.
But isn't that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I think I'm very clear in saying that it is an illusion. You see, I tell you a few things. Uh, you fall in love with somebody, okay? Oh, and the same day I meet you, you start saying about your partner, oh, there's nobody better than her. Nothing. I have not seen a person more beautiful than her. I have not seen a person more wise than her, and whatnot, and whatnot, and whatnot. Person remains the same. Sometimes passed on, and your needs is fulfilled. You start seeing the person's totally, and then a time comes when you want to separate, and then you again meet me. Oh my God, I misunderstood her. She was never good for me. She was always bad. I could not see it. Oh my God, it was terrible. These are the statements I think you must have heard, and I have also heard. A person is same.
Yes.
Good and bad things, what you are seeing in the starting good and in the end bad, were present in her, but you have not seen them. And now the basic problem is with the romantic love that when you meet, you see only good, and when you want to part, you see only bad. Both of the things are not right. I think you should be able to see good and bad in the starting, good and bad in the end, and make your life comfortable.
And stay together no matter what, basically.
Yeah, that's my opinion. That's my opinion that, you see, most of the time we leave our partner for somebody to whom we do not know.
Yeah, but we develop a new sense of love to them. Like We have those butterflies in the belly again. It's exciting, it's new. So the feeling of being in love comes again, and that overrides everything else. And then maybe people leave the other partner or cheat or whatever.
And then you leave the second one, then you leave the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one, the eighth one, the 10th one, and the
Yeah,
what?
but see, our whole education system is teaching people to go for love. Love is being this feeling of being in love is being put on a pedestal almost. You know, it's being promoted in our society as something necessary. There is hundreds of millions of people out there who are longing to find their one partner that will fulfill all their desires, to put a ring on their finger, to own them basically. You said before that you've never seen somebody say, honey, I'm yours, but ultimately having a ring put on your finger, you know, like a engagement ring, that's exactly that. It's saying, honey, I'm yours. You just bought me basically. Maybe I'm
No,
exaggerating a little bit, but
no, you are telling truth. You are telling truth, a little twisted one. When I put ring in the other person's finger, I think she is mine.
yeah. And she's also happy to be yours, no?
She is not happy to be mine. She is happy because she thinks that I'm hers.
Right, okay.
You see, and I think you are a very intelligent person. You talk to few people, and you will understand that most, my fiancée. I mean, I do not know. As you say, that exceptions are everywhere, but I have not heard people saying I belong to her. They say she is mine.
You know, I think even if somebody says, I'm yours, it could be because, you know, if I tell you I'm yours, then it's an action to make you mine a little bit more. Does that make sense?
You can,
Yes.
yeah. Then that is a strategy.
Yes.
But I think words has got very big powers, and if you keep saying I'm yours, I'm yours, I'm yours, I tell you, relationship will be much better than when you say you are mine, you are mine, you are mine.
So, just to get back to this huge topic again, that there is a massive love industry that is out there, that is, you know, that is that is promoting falling in love. There is Valentine's Day, and there is engagement rings, and you have to pay like 2 or 3 times your monthly wage into your engagement ring. And there is literally an industry out there. And you know, when you look at the music industry, every, I don't know how many, but it might be way over 60, 70, 80% of songs are either about I have been left by you, or I love you so much, or I can't have you, or please come to me, or I've never met anybody so amazing as you. You see what I'm saying? There's different nuances obviously of this topic, but there's a majority of songs and movies. When you look, for example, at the Bollywood industry or also the Hollywood industry, romance is everything. And we are saying here that it's a cul-de-sac. It's a dead end, basically.
You are right. You are right. What does industry sells? What you want to buy.
I don't know.
And yes, I mean, whatever you want to buy, people go to sell that. We like it because whatever the kind of mood I have, according to that mood, I will start liking the songs, liking the discussions, liking the movies. And if a normal, I mean, a common person like uh, if in movies, when they go, they see themselves in a hero. And because they want to see that, people serve that in the plate. But yes, if things start changing, maybe are made differently thereafter. You never know.
So the industry is basically catering a deep desire. So if we say that that's the case, then there is millions or hundreds of millions or maybe billions of people who are looking for something or to find a partner that will fulfill something in them. What is actually, do you think, what is behind that? Is there a deeper spiritual desire behind it, or there is obviously some lack that is there for most of humanity? I mean, a large part of humans on our planet are affected. Is it just hormones?
Yeah, it is.
What is that? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, you see, you know, the reproduction system is based on sex, and yes, hormones it is. You start falling in love the moment you become 15, 16, 17, 18. That doesn't happen a lot at the age of 2 or 3 because of the bodily need. You see, men and women are lacking something in them which can be fulfilled by their partners. And when they meet their partners, they feel pleasure, they feel happiness, they feel everything, and therefore they fall in love and be together.
Okay, yes. So maybe it's the last, and then we will move on to a little bit to a different aspect of the topic, but just as a last kind of like summary. So we have looked at love. We have said that this is there is basically something that is a little bit of a dead end here. There is still a strong emotion in people. There is a strong want that they have. It's obviously something that is collective. If we reduce it to hormones or not, it still has an emotional, a very strong emotional aspect to it. There is a longing there. There is a sense of wanting to be completed by somebody else. How do you recommend for people to deal with that emotion in a practical way? Let's go back to arranged marriages. So what do you recommend?
No, I don't recommend. You see, it's not that problems are not there in arranged marriages. Our problems are not there in love marriages. It's everywhere.
Yeah, Indians are just as love crazy as everybody else in the world, right?
Everywhere. I mean, that is the solution is not that you change from love to arrange or you change from arrange to love. Solution is that your expectation level should come down. You should not try to change your partner. You should try to accept him or her as he or she is. You should not try to bind your partner. You try to be, you try to do what you can and not try what you cannot. You can change yourself. You try that. You try to be his or her completely and do not expect anything from her. I tell you, the real love, when you free somebody, there are only two reasons why a partner leaves you. Mostly, specifically, number one, sexual satisfaction, and number two, binding. Oh my God, I'm so pissed off at him because he always checks my mobile phone. These are the things you will find, I mean, very common. All other things can be taken care of if you allow your partner to breathe, allow him or her to live a natural life, allow a bit of air, and make a point to tell every morning that you are her, you are his.
I mean, people are getting married and then they speak vows to each other and they promise each other to be faithful forever and to be with each other forever and to love each other forever. When on an emotional level they're seemingly not able to do it, and maybe that's the reason also why the divorce rates are so high. So are you recommending that this, what you just said, that this also includes sexuality with another partner, potentially a third person, or polyamory, or I mean, if somebody has the urge to go out and have a sexual experience, and the other person says, "Yes, honey, no problem, do whatever you want," that's what you're basically saying, yes?
Not exactly, but yes, even if they want to do that, I mean, if both the partners agree, society agrees, there is nothing wrong in that also, in my opinion. But what I say, that you you try to be of your partner. You see, basic thing is that I say that I'm yours. If both the partners starts thinking that I'm yours, everything will become fine and there would be no problems. And if there are problems, including sex, and society and partners agree with each other, there is nothing wrong trying elsewhere also. But there are very different aspect of this, which we have to understand. It all depends upon your personal choice. Nobody else has got a role in it. But there are few things we must know, including, of course, those protection needed. And secondly, our body is very unique. You do not know the name of your grandfather, but he is present in you. Body has got a memory. It remembers things. You see, I think most of us must have noticed that with whomever we are living, if my eyes are closed and that person comes and touches me, I have not seen her, but still I will be able to identify that it is her. How? Because our body remembers things which we do not remember. So anything you try has got an impact on your body and ultimately on you. If you can handle that, yes, make a choice. And if you cannot handle that, it's better. It's much better to be with the single partner than with the multiple partners.
Okay. But you basically, your recommendation, if I may summarize this and tell me if I'm wrong here, is that you're saying start living your relationship to fulfill your partner, when it seems in reality that people are going into relationship to get their desires fulfilled, not to fulfill their partner. And fulfilling the partner is only a secondary strategy to get your own desires fulfilled. So people are fulfilling their partner, but for the purpose of then being fulfilled themselves. So the primary cause for this longing, for wanting to find somebody, for wanting a life partner, for wanting to get married, for wanting love, is really to be fulfilled. It is not to have more work to fulfill somebody else, but that's what you're recommending.
Yes, exactly. This is what you are saying, exactly the same thing I am saying. I will add a little bit that if you want to be happy, give pleasure to your partner. If it's same thing, when you give pleasure to your partner, you get the pleasure from your partner also. But if you want to be happy in a relationship, give pleasure. Do not receive it. Your partner will automatically give you the pleasure. And happiness will flow, it will flow, it will flow. And I mean, that kind of experience, you just try to do it, experience it, and then your life gets automatically changed.
I think that's a beautiful, beautiful sentence. We have about 30 minutes left. I would like to veer off a little bit into a different direction. So now let's say a couple has found each other, they're living a life, they are married, they move together, and now there are children in the equation. And now time goes by, and several years go by, and the peace, the happiness has faded for various reasons maybe, but has faded. So there is now a lack of love that seems to be there. Maybe the couple got tired of each other, or they have already used up that freshness of their love, and now they have a child. And they start arguing, they start fighting, they start not being happy with each other. How do you recommend a couple deal with a situation like that? Obviously, always having the well-being of the child or the children in mind.
It's beautiful question. I think world has suffered, our children has suffered a lot. When they see their parents quarreling, a trauma occurs in their mind and it doesn't go for a lifetime. I have met people who has decided not to marry because they have seen their parents fighting. Now, number one, the the moment we try to do what we have just said, I'm yours, I'm giving pleasure to my partner, this situation may not arise at all. But at the same time, I would also try to mention little harsh statement here. Couples who cannot take care of their children, it's better they don't produce them. Children are like God. They are very innocent. It is our responsibility as a parent and as a society to take care of them. And I think even if it requires a little bit of sacrifice, we must do it, and we must bring up our children in harmony.
So when would be a point in a relationship where you would say that a divorce is justified with children, with having children?
I think, of course, you may not agree with me, but I think if we try to live in harmony, divorce is not needed. Our forefathers were living in harmony for a long time. I don't say that there was no divorce at that time, but it is not needed. We can take care of our children nicely, we can take care of our partner nicely. But in one case, if you are continuously fighting in front of your children, then it is not good. And maybe you sit down together in a restaurant where your children are not present, discuss what is the issue, try to solve it, and if you cannot solve it, you can happily separate. But in this case also, make a point, try not to speak against each other in front of your children. Romantic relationship is so good and it is so bad that when you start fighting, you start telling in front of your children, oh, your mom is bad, your dad is bad. What are you teaching? And children are not saying, but they are traumatized. They cannot explain the kind of pain they are going through, but believe me, they are going through the pain. And we, as a parent, are their God. It has the what God does to us, He takes care of us. Same responsibility He has given to us as parent. We should become God in taking care of our parent. Forget about forget about our small differences. Forget about good and bad. Forget about whether I'm happy or sad. And in the interest of our children, be God. I invite and call all the parents of the world to be God for their children and take care of them. Do not leave them in between. You have taken up the responsibility to bring them up. Please bring them up. Please, please, please bring them up.
So, and we've talked about this before a little bit. Maybe I can give you a scenario. Maybe I'll go a little bit to an extreme, but I have had, since the book was published in German, we have had several people come to us, speak to me, for example, and it was a very specific situation. Now I'm going to give you a scenario, and this could obviously be, the genders could be interchanged in this scenario, but for the sake of the example, a woman and a husband, and they have one child, and the husband is an alcoholic, and he comes home every evening. He gets angry when he drinks, and this has been going on for years. And when he has had alcohol, he doesn't have any consideration for not getting loud in front of the child. And a few times he has even hurt his mother. He has slapped her and hit her and beat her several times in front of the child. She has been thinking to leave him, but she's not sure. She has heard your lecture or read your book, and you are saying, please talk it out and see if you can stay together. So she is trying very hard, but it hurts her on a daily basis, because on a daily basis she feels like her child is suffering more than anything. She's suffering. She doesn't feel like she has the attention for the child because she's in so much pain. She has tried to talk to the husband several times. They went to a restaurant. They talked it out. He promised he will change. He didn't drink for 3 weeks, but then 3 weeks later, he came home again drunk, and the whole cycle started again from the beginning. So this is, I think, an example that is, I have seen this many times in my life. This is relatively common. Maybe some of the variables are interchanged. Maybe it's not alcohol. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's an emotional imbalance. Whatever it is, this happens. So what do you recommend in a case like this? When is the point, the cutoff point, where you say, look, it is really better now for the child to have a divorced situation, even though I know you're saying that there is very little that is worse for a child than going through a divorce of their parents. But is there a point, I think I asked you before, but I'm asking it again, is there a point where you would say it is saner, easier, better, less traumatizing for the child to have the parents separate, to live in a split situation, maybe even never see the father again, or only every other weekend under supervision, or whatever it is? Yes, please.
You are a very intelligent person, and I understand what you want to say. But now, let us analyze this situation completely. Was this mother not knowing that husband to whom she is married is alcoholic before a child was produced?
Not necessarily. Like I know somebody I'm very close to. Actually, my mother. She got into a relationship with several children, and the children came, and I've talked to her many times about this, and she said she didn't know in the beginning. She did know that he liked to drink, but
Eventually, you mean your father was beating your mother?
not my father, and he wasn't beating her, but yeah, he was an alcoholic, and this had very, very strong ramifications, obviously, in her life. Like, he wasn't able to provide and things like that. And but she says she didn't know. She says she believed him, that he said, she believed him what he told her in the beginning. And, it's a very common thing that we don't tell the truth about ourselves when we get into a relationship. We kind of like tell people what we think they want to hear, so that that love relationship, that exciting time in the beginning can develop. So no, I don't think that people know everything about their partner in the beginning.
You see, as the last option, you can go and take the divorce. If you are fighting and this kind of the situation, what you say really happens at home every day, it should definitely be avoided and divorce is justified. But I think it is what you are talking about is one in 100 case, one in 1,000 case. We It doesn't happen that you start drinking after the child is born. Either you are drinking from early.
I need to cut you off because the statistics say that domestic abuse and domestic violence is more like 1 in 5 cases, not 1 in 100.
So we have to address them as a society, as a person. We have to address that, not take the divorces.
Okay.
Because you see, if that is a problem, there are laws every country has. Don't tell me that it is not possible to deal this. You take them to psychopath, you take them to psychologists, you take them to doctors, you take them to policemen and solve the problem. And yes,
Well, to a psychotherapist,
yeah, yeah,
yes, yes.
psychologist. Yeah, yeah, I wanted to say psychotherapist. I'm sorry. But yes, I mean, these are the problems. Every problem, believe me, has got a solution. If you are able to identify the problems, you will find a solution. The, we as a society try to find out the solutions for these problems, and I think the divorces, when the children are growing, we must try to avoid. You have raised a very nice question. Now I raise a question to you. You have said your parents were fighting, they were quarreling, they were doing this. Now tell me how your childhood was and the trauma what you had in your childhood, how long it took for you to come out of that.
Oh, it still affects me. Yeah, yes, sure. It is
And
very
what is your
traumatizing.
age?
I'm 43.
Now you say that you were traumatized at the age of 5, 4 or something like that, and it has taken you 40 years not to recover you from that. Shall we traumatize our children like this?
Yes, that's not the question. The question is, does it traumatize children more as well or in a different way if they live in a existing functioning relationship that is broken or if they are confronted with a divorce situation? That's really the question. I'm not promoting trauma. I understand that both things are traumatizing. Parents that are consistently quarreling are definitely traumatizing, and parents that separate and divorce and then try to fight for the love of their child by telling the other parent off or things like that, that's also gravely traumatizing. My question is, there's two situations that are not that are not really desirable. How should somebody choose who is in that situation? When does a man or a woman decide it's enough, I need to protect my child, I need to go, or I need to protect my child, I need to stay? That's the question.
I think I think I have already addressed to this in our previous thing, but I can again tell you. I have already said that if for any reason sitting at the restaurant you are not able to fix your marriage, you are not able to fix uh, staying together, happily both of you decide to part. And even parting should not become trauma for your children. You take care of it. You take care of it that you see when the parting starts, the process of parting starts, what people start saying, your mom is bad, your dad is bad, he has not done this, he has not done that. A child is not able to. solve this problem. Please do not involve your child. Sit down nicely, go to your elders, go to your friends, go to a nice lawyer, sit down together, finalize a calm and peaceful divorce as far as possible, and save your child.
Wonderful. Now, very good. So now there is an additional challenge here. Obviously, how do you deal with such a thing as visitation rights? And the reason why I'm asking this is because in your book, in one of the chapters, a very important aspect is that a child, from its makeup, needs the energy of a man and the energy of a woman, meaning the father and the mother, just as biology made it, in close proximity. Which means both energies need to be there, both energies need to have an influence, and both energies need to be felt by the child in a way that they know that this energy will always be there to feel safe. Now, this is obviously threatened when a divorce happens. Now, what is the way to deal with this to, I would say, maybe minimize the consequences of this dynamic, of this not having either the male or the female energy to same parts in your life anymore as a small child?
You see, the moment both the parents are not available to a child, child definitely suffers. Now, question is how much he will suffer and what we can do to reduce the suffering. It cannot be eliminated. Uh, to reduce the suffering, you see, if both the parents can meet the child as regular interval, which is which is happening everywhere, I suppose, that's good thing. And we as a parent have to take care not to tell about the other partner any adverse things when we meet our children. That is the first thing, I mean, finest thing. After I mean staying together, second thing is, if possible, try to give them the love of grandparents. That solves plenty of problems. Children get attracted very much to their grandparents, and if both the grandparents are alive, they are able to get they are able to get male and female energy. Not as good as they get from their parents, but it is second to their parents. And now parent thinks it's not available. The second best thing is that they be brought up by their grandparents.
Okay. Could it be a solution for the parents to stay together as friends, live in the same household, and have additional partners? Meaning the father has a new girlfriend or wife, and the wife has a new husband or boyfriend, and they live together? Or, I mean, maybe that's totally illusory what I'm saying here. I mean, it's it's kind of a mental construct, if anything.
Yes, that is too much to ask. If that was the situation, why could have they separated? They will not stay together, but yes, I mean they can at a several at interval, as already I think government has made arrangements that child remains with mother for whole of the week, and then the weekend he be with father or something like that. That arrangement remains, and do not allow them to live together, otherwise they will again start fighting, and then I think that would be further bad. When divorce has taken place, it is nice that they live separately, and whenever they meet their child, they try to be as good to child as God is to all of us.
You know, when we look at that whole situation, kind of like when we look at this whole situation of what we talked about, and also the last 20 minutes, half hour, where we talked about the problems that can come about in a marriage and how difficult they can be to be solved, how difficult it can be for them to be solved. It appears to me, and again, tell me if I'm wrong here, that the stronger that sexual love that we spoke about in the beginning, which in some ways or form is illusionary, the stronger this love is, the stronger the difficulties will be down the line. Is this something that one could say like this? Because from what I understand is that, no, you say no, but just let me finish, because from what I understand is love and hate are part of the same thing. So if we fall in love very strongly, then our expectations will be stronger, our need to be fulfilled by the other person will be stronger, and with it, our disappointments down the line, if the person doesn't turn out to be the way we thought or hoped, our disappointment will be stronger too. Is that not the correct conclusion that I'm making here?
No, it is close to correct. But you see, even if you have got a strong disappointment and you separate in time, those strong disappointments doesn't become very strong unless you decide to fight, quarrel, make dramas, then it is something different. Look, a human being has everything, a nice brain, a nice heart, and if he decides something to find a solution, he will be able to find it. There are some of us who wants problems always and not the solution, and for them it could be little difficult, and then they need psychotherapist, then they need other help, but otherwise a common man will be able to find a solution. And and the problem what starts, what you said, that beating and this and that, when we think that you are mine, I consider you as my property and want to use you as I want. That is the root of the problem. For that, I think I have already said a solution, that instead of thinking that you are mine, our society, we as an individual, should change it to I'm yours. Most of the problems will automatically get solved.
So, very good. So, it's just maybe as a last question, it seems like that in our society, the predicament of divorced or children that grow up in a divorce or among fighting or struggling or abusive parents is something that perpetuates itself through society over time, over the generations, and can actually destroy a society from the inside. I mean, you said that you wrote the book because you saw that 9 out of 10 people in some of these European countries are sad and that they are broken because of the relationship. Is this caused by a 30, 40, 50% divorce rate over the last 20, 30 years? Is this the reason that children who grow up like this are already broken to begin with and will perpetuate the same cycle onwards?
Yes, I believe so, and it's truth. All of you can see it in your surroundings, in your neighborhood. I mean, that is a problem. And I mean, if 9 out of 10 people are sad, it's definitely the sign of a broken society. And it doesn't happen in a day, it must have happened over a period of time. But yes, still, it is not too late. Still, it is not too late. We need to reverse the process. We need love. We need to trust more. We need to quarrel less. We need to fight less and make our life happy.
So somebody who has these traumas, let's say from a divorced childhood, or what do you recommend to them as a strategy to start healing and to start reversing?
It's a very, very interesting question. And most of these children, when they grow up, they never grow up as a perfect human being. Problem gets multiplied, and multiplied. You see, my first recommendation to them is they have seen the worst in their life. Let us take a oath that I will not do the same what I have seen. The first step. Second step is try some spirituality in you. Try to reduce the level of expectation you have. And if possible, I do not know how much it will be possible, it depends upon the personal choice. If possible, be connected to some spiritual person. That will definitely help you.
Okay. I think that's a wonderful ending for our show today. Thank you for your wisdom and your insights. Are there any last words you would like to say, if any?
My fellow citizens of the world, my brothers and sisters, believe me, you have the responsibility of God for your children. You are God. Please see to it that we as parent, as God, do not fail to our children and bring them up with happiness, with love, with happiness and love, with happiness and love. Let's put our differences apart and help our children to grow in a perfect human being so that we can build tomorrow's society today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Guru Talks. Share this episode with anyone who wants to be enlightened by Guru Bhaneswaranand, and don't forget to click subscribe.